start recording now. Yeah, so I've gone through your games and there is a lot there to discuss, Daniel. So today is going to be a real ripper. So let's dig right into it. You played it Scandi. Let's just have a look at your opponent. So we are heavily outrating the opponent, right? And to some degree,
Yes.
that was represented in the game as well. So Queen D8, D4, all good. Knight C6. Tell me candidate moves here, Daniel, please.
Knight F3,
Mm-hmm.
Bishop C4.
Are we sure about Bishop C4?
Not 100%. I've played that sometimes against the Scandinavian. So,
Okay, so let me take a step back. What does Knight C6 do to us?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it puts it puts a second attacker on the D4 pawn. Yeah.
Okay, so that erases Bishop C4 from the candidates, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so Knight F3. Yeah, what is the other one?
I mean, the only other way I can see to easily. Oh, D5.
D5. Now that, Daniel, becomes your number one candidate right away as soon as you spot it. And let me tell you the tool to spotting it. Every single time a developed knight can be kicked with a pawn push, the first thing you look at is to do so.
Okay.
If I got $1,000 for every single time I said this to students, Daniel, I would be a billionaire by now. This is one of the most frequently occurring mistake on club level chess, that people chuck out their knights against central pawns and they don't even look on either side actually on what happens if they get pushed around. And d5 here does hurt a lot because knight b4 is met by a3 and knight g6 allows further developing move with tempo. Or 10p even, depending on how we go. So that was definitely a red hot candidate for you. Actually, I will click analysis board just so that I can freely jump around between lines. All right, so we played knight f3. Yeah? Your opponent plays bishop g4. I'm guessing that you took it as a natural sort of anticipated move, right?
Yeah, I expected him to play that. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the point, Daniel, where we need to start bringing up some analogies. So, and for that, I'm going to attempt another analysis board where I'm going to show you something. And you might find this far-fetched, but let's see how we go with this. Are we familiar with the very famous Legal Mate? Which is this particular game which was played by a French nobleman whose name was Legal. Most people think it has something to do with being a legal move, but actually it was the dude's name.
I don't think I'm familiar with this, no.
Really? So you don't know what white should do in this position?
Let's see.
It's a very, very famous game that usually is featured in most chess books that are on very basic beginner tactics. By which I don't mean to indicate that you belong in that category. I'm just saying that this is usually amongst your first chess lessons is definitely this.
Okay.
And this is how we learn that creating a pin with an unguarded piece is always a double-edged weapon, because it looks like this knight can't move because of the pin is on, and very often the exact opposite turns out, that this knight can actually move and that bishop is gonna be on. So what knight moves would you look at if I pushed you to go crazy here?
Well, knight g5.
Or even go crazier, because knight g5 gets taken by the queen and that defends the bishop.
Right. Knight takes e5.
Right, so what happens, Daniel, if they take the queen?
You can attack f7 either with a check or a fork.
Right, which one is more attractive?
Well,
by definition, check, yeah? Because we have king.
Right, yeah, I'm trying to look for a potential mate, but I wasn't seeing it right away.
Okay, so what do they do after bishop f7 check?
Well, king e7 seems forced, so... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yep, yeah, it's forced, yeah. Okay, so knight takes e5.
I will remove the arrows so that it's clean.
Okay. Bishop is, or queen is taken. So, I'm not exactly sure how to follow up because I don't have a queen.
You don't need a
So,
queen, Daniel. That's the beauty of
oh,
chess.
that's
Queen is for,
okay. Yeah,
that's not for us. We are big boys. We use the pieces instead.
yeah.
Give me all the checks,
Oh,
Daniel, after king e7. All of them.
okay. All of them.
All
Okay.
of them.
Well, knight d5.
Okay, let's stop
Um,
right there. What does black do when we play that?
that's mate.
That is mate, Daniel. So this is the
Yeah.
world famous legal mate, named after that French dude, Francois de Camus the Legal or something rather. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, this mini lesson, um, which usually I used to teach, by the way, like a first lesson to kids about development and central control, is about to represent and teach you two very important things. One is that development is above all, and two, very important stuff, that a pin with an unguarded piece is always a potential source for a reverse tactic. Because now if they
Okay.
choose to take the knight, then you take the bishop.
Right.
And by the way, now that we are at it, I also will show you that there is a slightly improved version of the same idea when they play knight c6. And now after bishop c4, they play bishop g4. Now knight takes e5 loses. Why?
Hmm.
What's the difference?
Well, I mean, knight takes e5, knight takes e5.
Defends the bishop.
Right, exactly.
Yeah? So that doesn't work here, but there is a clever way to make it work, which is that you kick the bishop, and if they insist on retaining the pin, that's when you go like, well, joke's on you, brother. H5 bishop is now no longer guarded, so we are good to go. And if they
Hmm.
take the queen, you again go in for the legal mate. Now there is an
I see.
additional variation that had to be seen here, which is that after knight takes, if we take the bishop, they get to take another piece. And it looks like we are losing. But in that position, after knight e5, queen h5, knight takes c4, you have a follow-up that is going to reverse the evaluation again to our favor. What is that additional move?
Um, yeah, I just had a sudden audio dropout. You said what can I do to reverse the
Yes,
reduce
exactly.
it or
Yeah.
reverse it to our favor?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, let's see.
And by default, you are looking at checks first, yeah? Because we are in the middle of a
Yeah.
very aggressive I take, you take variation, so it has to be checks, captures, threats.
Hmm. Well, you have a check on f7. I mean, queen sack
Yep,
f7.
let's forget that. Any other? We have got two more checks. One of them is winning.
Queen e5 check.
Yep, which is
But
not so winning.
right. Um, hmm. Another check.
Hmm.
Oh, queen b5 check.
Brillianto. And that check happens to be a beautiful double attack or fork, if you will. And in the end of all this shebang, we came out with the extra pawn, beautiful central control, better development, the whole shebang, right? Now, that was,
Yeah.
Daniel, a ginormous detour, but one that you desperately needed in hindsight, because the legal mate, like I said, is a very, very important motif and concept that we need to learn early on. So,
Okay.
what does it have to do with the game that we are looking at right now? So, bishop g4, is this guarded? No. So part of your thinking already goes that I'm gonna look out for this bugger here on g4, because coach told me that this can often reverse. So let's see how you continued the game. You went d5, yeah?
Yep.
Absolutely best move. What is your first candidate move after knight e5? Which is going to feel for you, Daniel, like jumping off of a cliff.
Jumping off of a cliff would, to get that feeling, I'd probably go knight takes e5.
Right. And that's an absolutely non-negotiable, Daniel. In my book, if in this position your first move that you look at is not knight takes e5, you're not playing this game. You're not there. You're not actually putting to use the stuff that you know about chess, and also the stuff that is really fun and awesome about chess. Because if you're thinking is that not that, oh my god, imagine if this worked, and get the genuine excitement about the possibility of sack a queen and destroy your opponent, you know, like, what are we playing chess for? Right? So
Right.
you absolutely have to. This is where I made a YouTube video about how to find certain tactics, and I call this concept to be a believer, that this looks impossible. And that's exactly why that should be your first thought. This kind of counter logic is basically one of the most important foundation stones of tactics. That it looks like it doesn't work, and therefore it does. So I would like to ask you to have a look at what you think knight takes e5 does.
Well, knight takes e5 puts pressure on the f7 pawn, which is a weakness we exploited in the legal mate.
Yep. Look, that example was a little bit far-fetched for it to be applicable here beyond taking. So obviously it will have to be a vastly different concept because you have nothing going on f7.
Okay.
So you need to go back to, once again, another foundation, which is checks, captures, threats. So after they took your queen, you go immediately to checks, captures, threats mode.
Okay. Yeah, so bishop b5 check is an option.
Yep. And so you continue.
Okay, so probably he would play c6. And
now you need to jump off of a second cliff, Daniel. This is a double. This is a double dare.
Okay. Well, if I wanted to keep pressing with checks, I go bishop takes c6.
Yeah, but that would be captured, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we definitely need to retain that bishop because that bishop is the ace, the trump card in your hands.
Okay. So d takes c6.
Right. Have you got a threat after dc if you were to move again? Because let's face it, we sacked the queen. So you really need to come up with some goods here to make it justified.
Right. So c7 checking the king and discovered attack on the queen.
There is an even better move than that, Daniel. There. Actually, you know what? No, actually, the point is that after c7 check queen d7, it's mate. So in that sense, pawn c7 is good, but cb is even filthier because then when queen comes, you get a new queen with mate.
Oh wow.
So basically, what I'm trying to say is that you needed to have both threats to be on the board because obviously black has got various ideas to counter you. The most logical one is to attack the bishop that is about to deliver the discovered check, right?
Right.
How can they do that? How can they attack the bishop? After knight takes, bishop check c6 dc.
I mean, a6 attacks it, but
yeah. That's pretty much what they can do. Okay, so let's go with that. a6. What do you do?
I mean, you could follow through with what you said, which is d takes c7 check.
You could, but be careful because now instead of blockading, I can take the bishop and the rook is guarded. So this is where your move will come handy.
Yeah, c7, right?
Yep. So please continue calculating that for me.
Okay, so after they played a6, I play a7 check.
c7, yeah?
I'm sorry, c7,
yeah. Go on.
c7 check. And, I mean...
Keep going.
Block with... They could play queen d7.
Hang on, what was the purpose, Daniel, of playing a6 again?
Oh, right, to take the bishop. Yep. Okay, so a takes b6, and then... Yeah, I mean... I would take the queen. So c takes d8.
And when they take back, what do you do at last? Anything hanging that we can take for free?
Hmm. Yeah, visualization challenge here. Let's see. Um,
Name everything that you can take in that position legally.
I think I'm having trouble visualizing a position now.
Good. Then calculate it from get-go and get back to me when you're done.
Okay. So let's see. We played knight takes e5, bishop takes d1, bishop b5 check, c6, d takes c6, a6,
Mm-hmm.
c7,
Mm-hmm.
a takes b6. I'm sorry, b5. C takes d8, rook takes d8.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Um, I mean, knight takes b5, but that doesn't seem like it's sufficient. Um,
Well, we will talk about what you mean by sufficient, but okay, knight takes b5 is one of the captures. You have got another two.
King takes d1.
Now, king takes
Oh,
d1.
no, I'm sorry. That's check. Yeah, that's check. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
can't do that, right? Yeah, legal move. Um, let's see.
Why don't we take d1 with the
Knight,
knight, Daniel?
yeah, knight takes d1. Yeah,
Very
knight
good.
takes. Yep.
Now you are done. And
Okay.
now you need to tell me the material situation.
Okay. Let's see. Black one, queen.
Daniel, don't do that.
Yeah.
I need to know
No.
where is what exactly. You're not counting me what's off on the board. And if that was your method before of calculating material, forget it. I want to know what is on the board, not what left the board.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
how you count material. You count what's on the board because that also proves that you know where they are.
Okay.
Right? Because you counting what has left the board gives you no feedback whatsoever about what is where right now when we evaluate. Okay?
Okay.
So that's like, trying to figure out what's going on from the diagnosis rather than from the cure. Maybe that's a false analogy, but anyway, I want to know what's where.
Okay. So you don't want me to just count it. You also, of what's on the board. You also want me to know. It means cite where each piece
Yeah, it's
is.
tell me please the black pieces. I don't care about the pawns. Every single black piece.
Okay. Okay.
So what does black have right now and where they are?
Okay. Rook on d8. Bishop on f8. Knight
Yep.
on g8. Rook on h8.
Yep. Do they have any more pieces left on the board?
Are we assuming that knight took d1?
Yep. That's when we stopped and we started calculating.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
precisely.
Okay.
So the answer is no, there are no more pieces, yeah? For
Right.
black.
Right.
Okay, where are
right.
the white pieces?
Okay. Let's see. Rook a1, bishop c1, knight d1, and rook h1.
And that's it?
Oh, knight e5.
That would be an important one to remember, yeah?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so
exactly.
now you can give me an evaluation in terms of material. So what that does equal to? Like, are we ahead, are we behind, or what's the story?
Okay. So let's see. Okay, I'll just count the way I know how. So I get like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I have 2 knights, 1 bishop, 2 rooks. So I have three minor pieces and 2 rooks.
Yeah, very good.
And they have 2 rooks, 2 minor pieces. So I'm up a minor piece.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's it. And by the way, that's nothing wrong with what you did there. But you must know where they are. So I have no problems whatsoever to you counting up the dudes. And by the way, for that again, a technique to make it faster is that you cancel out the same kinds.
Okay.
Yes, a Turuk don't count because that's the same, yeah?
Yep.
And then you can eliminate pretty fast that, oopsie, I have an extra piece on the board.
Right.
So, long story short, bang, game over. And it is a beautiful one, by the way. It's a very famous motif.
Hmm.
And there is no way to get out of this mess.
Yeah. I did, by the way, watch your video, the tactical video on being a believer, and I loved it. It was great. I just I
It
forgot to
takes
use it
it
here.
takes it takes time,
Yeah.
Daniel. It takes time. I mean, look, it is a huge, absolutely one of the greatest mental shifts, especially for adult improvers. By the way, is to turn this mentality around. That you look at it and you go like, "Oh shivers, this is piling up," opposed to, "Ha, 95, I dare, I will take it." This kind of mentality, as ridiculously simple as it may sound, is very difficult to turn around. For a kid, it's very different because they don't have these already learned concepts, in particular about material. I
Hmm.
have a theory about this, by the way, that adult improvers find it a lot more difficult to come to terms with the concept of sacrificing material because our civil life teaches us to build value, and the only value that we can translate to in real life really is your assets, your salary, your house, your whatever. In chess, that's material. And I
Yeah.
find that a lot of people tend to like that's their only tangible comparison or measure, that what's in life is your savings and the safety net that you earn for yourself. In chess, for them is material. And so they are extremely reluctant to give up any material whatsoever unless they see 125% guarantee that they will get it back with return and with interest.
Yeah.
And even when they do sack material, therefore, their primary goal is to try to rake it back as soon as possible instead of seeking other kinds of returns, such as an attack on the king or, God forbid, a checkmate. But that's a different story altogether. Let's move on. Bishop e2. Take. Oh, sorry, they went back to f5, g4. I quite like this move. I love the raging aggression. Bishop back to d7. Um, Queen e2 was played. Love it. e6. Now, when you played Queen e2, I am going to estimate or guess that you had two agendas about this move. One was to get the bishop out and castle here. Is that
Yes.
assumption correct?
Correct.
Good. Please give yourself a high five. Secondarily, I assume that you played here because it looked attractive to have the queen on the same file with the king, and that is always a source of tactics, right?
Right.
Second high
Yep.
five. Now, if I was playing white here and my opponent played e6 here, I would be like, wow, they are really asking for it. And you should have the same feeling too, because you just played Queen e2 with the idea of putting this on the same file of the king, and now they are like telling you that, oh yeah, really, you want to smack me? And then they put your cheek closer to your fists so that you can hit it as hard as you can. That's what this is. This is provocation. And
Yeah.
so you should be thinking to yourself here, really? Okay, you want to go? Let's go. And right away, you go checks, captures, threats, because this to you is like a red flag. So let's
Right.
go. What can we take and what's the follow up?
Yeah. I thought about this for a while in the game, and I don't know why I didn't move forward with capturing on e6, because now when I look at it, as you were talking, it seems pretty advantageous. I think I was hung up on whether I could capture a piece and not, or capture like a pinned piece, and because I couldn't do that, I didn't follow through. But looking at it now, I like d takes e6, and assuming probably you would take back with the bishop. So bishop takes e6, then bishop d5. Um,
Bishop d5 is most certainly a possibility, Daniel, but I'm afraid that we are a little bit blind here to freely hanging material.
hmm.
After d, bishop takes e6, there is stuff for free to be captured.
Oh, yeah. So bishop takes b7.
Yeah. Now, did
Uh,
we see this during the game?
yes.
And yet you
Uh,
didn't do it.
yeah. So the reason I didn't is this was probably sounds like it was wrong reasoning, but the reason I didn't take go with that line and taking on bishop b7 is I expected that he would play rook b8, and then he would have an open file to where I wanted to castle my king, and I felt like that didn't give me an advantage.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit further, sir. So the
Okay.
first problem here is that, as always, you are calling off your line just half a move too soon.
Okay.
So the first thing that I really want you to take away from that is that you can't possibly, in 90% of the cases, Daniel, you can't evaluate a position when there are pieces hanging. Like rook b8, your bishop is hanging on b7. You can't call it off there, mate. Like, you need to identify what your best bishop move is. And
Okay.
then when the dust settles, that's a fair comparison then to go like, okay, now I am good to stop. But before we even get into that, the whole point of bishop takes b7, whilst it's free material which you must respect, was not to win a pawn. What is your best move after rook b8, Daniel? Where should that bishop go?
Well, I would check on c6, so that looks good.
Can we replace good with instantly winning?
Yeah, so
You
the
do
king has
realize, Daniel, that after bishop check they can't block.
right, yes. The king
And
has to move.
therefore it's king e7.
Yeah.
When we go like, yeah, that's all she wrote, it's game over.
Now, that far I did not calculate. Yeah,
Okay,
in the game.
so
Yeah.
let's take away from this that the whole idea here to take, although on its own right, to win a pawn like that with a tempo, you just do it in a heartbeat.
Okay.
That's a non-negotiable. Even if you didn't have the check, which you do have with instant game over and resignation, bishop d5 here is just completely winning for you.
Yeah.
And by the way, the fact that this is here is maybe mildly annoying, very mildly, but considering your extreme lead in development, this has nothing to do with the reality of the board, which is that you are going to castle here and destroy them before they can even dream about attacking you here. Because remember, Daniel, that in order to attack, you need developed pieces.
Right.
What are they going to attack you with? This? They are not. They have no right whatsoever to think about attack here. You are the one calling the shots here and dictating the tempo of the game. So, okay, that was a missed situation. It teaches
Right.
you, Daniel, a very important habit, and that is to A, not call off lines with hanging pieces, and 2, to always try to look a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I've noticed that that's an issue, like just this past week and seeing like these past couple of games that I sent you, that my own observation of my play was that I'm not calculating uh deep enough, and I'm making assumptions sometimes too when I'm
Yes.
calculating.
And I
Yeah.
will confirm that theory about yourself that is correct. But
Yeah.
that's why we are here to work on it. Okay, so bishop d2 was played. It's a little bit timid, but I'm going to go with it. I assume that you chose this square against others because you didn't like bishop b4,
Correct.
which is acceptable. So we'll go with that. c6. You opted to not to engage with this and take, which I find quite cool. I don't know if I would have taken... This looks best to me, followed by castles, because then we have an open d file. But let's get to that in a bit. I really like the last dude to the party concept here. However, I am really itching to move this knight. Because
Yeah.
they just walked into this, right?
Right.
So can you tell me, Daniel, what would happen if I took this? I'm assuming a bishop will recapture. And then I play 95.
Right. Probably queen d8 would be the follow-up to guard the c7 square.
Okay, so this is where... Yeah, so this is, Daniel, where you would immediately stop calculating, because if in this position, the best move they can play is this, that's when you know that you won the game. Because chess can't be played, mate, with this. When you have this. This. You have a
Yeah.
fully deployed army against Backrang Fest. If that is their best move, you don't look any further, mate. You do this. Because it's impossible that there is a better thing on the board than this. The only thing that is better than this is mate in 1.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't see how this wins on the spot, which it doesn't, by the way, but like, it's not immediate resignation, but after like knight f4, they're falling apart here. If I were to turn on the engine, you would get about +5 here.
I see.
Yeah? But I don't care about engine. I care about you being 100% confident that when you see this, you just go like, give me Magnus Carlsen from here, baby. Because it's just that fundamentally wrong. It cannot be right.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like you're buying, 10 kilograms of gold from wherever and they go like $10. Like, that does not, there is no world where that's correct. This is the same twisted reality. This can't be ever right. Your only concern about this whole shebang, Daniel, is that if you take on e6 and they take back and you go here, they take this. Which is a mate in 1 threat. That is your only legitimate concern. If we manage to deal with this, this is your move. So now, I'm going to ask that very question. What happens if we take 95 and they take here?
I mean, you could play something like bishop d3 and
Bishop?
provide an escape square for your king.
Whoa, hold on. Bishop where? You said d3.
I'm sorry. Bishop c3. I apologize. Bishop
No.
c3.
Okay, bishop c3. Okay. Now, that, my problem with, is that it's way too defensive. I don't want you to defend for the time being. I want you to still deliver the punches, Daniel. We are still in the check capture threat land.
Okay. So
check beats mate in 1 threat.
Right. So knight c7 check.
Thank you. Where did they go?
Probably king e7.
Right. Keep checking, my friend. Keep checking.
Okay. Let's see. Bishop bishop b4 check.
That's one check with the bishop. What's the other one?
Bishop g5.
Which one is preferred?
Well, let me make sure I see this correctly. Well, in each case, black can block with a pawn, but blocking on c5, you just capture on c5 and it's still check again.
Yeah, so they have to go for a walkie-walkie, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, whereas bishop here gets blocked with f6.
Right.
Now, the point of both checks, Daniel, is that you have vacated this square.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So now, my friend, you are good to feast on whatever you fancy.
Mm-hmm.
You can take the rook. If you went from this way, you can take whatever again. You can continue checking. In fact, after the correct bishop b4 check, king f6, g5 check, that's where you call it off if you want to, because that's a guaranteed mate. That king is not going to leave. And by the way, we have eliminated the mate threat.
Right.
Now, if after knight c7 check they go king d8, what do you do? So we are looking at takes, knight d5, queen takes, knight check, king d8.
Right. Well, we moved the we moved the bishop on d2, and we have a discovered. Wait, yeah, we have a discovered check.
Yes, we do.
I guess the question is just where to put the bishop. Let's see.
Did king d8 attack anything by any chance?
Yeah, it attacked the knight on c7. So
logical move appears to be
Bishop f4.
Yeah, good. Continue. Because that's a check. So let's keep going there.
Hmm. Let's see. Bishop f4. So the king has c8 and
Yeah, let's go with c8.
e. Okay,
Yeah,
king has
let's
c8.
try to tuck it away. Can we take the rook now?
Yeah, because you move the bishop and the king has a flight square, so
Okay,
yeah.
let's continue calculating because checks are always scary. Check.
Okay, king d2.
Yeah, do they have any more checks?
Hmm. Yeah, they can check a bishop b4.
Yeah, that's annoying enough for you to continue, Daniel, like it or not.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so I have either king d3 or king e3. Um,
There you have a third option there.
oh, that's right. I can play c3.
Right, what's the follow-up check after c3?
Hmm. Um, Queen is on a1.
Yeah,
Let's see. Oh, queen takes b2.
very good. Where do we go?
Hmm.
The reason why I chose this instead of going to either of these is because you are trying to tuck your king away rather than walking out to the open.
Okay.
So after queen b2, naturally you look to do what?
Uh, oh, king e1.
Very good. Any more checks?
Hmm. Well, I mean, he could trade queens. Um,
No. That's then you are just done because you had a rook up.
yeah, okay.
Any other check?
Let's see. I'm on. Okay. I guess he could. I mean, he could sack the bishop. Bishop takes c3,
How is
but
that a sack, Daniel?
oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Yep, I'm seeing the pawn on b2 again.
The one that
You're
you
right.
just
Okay.
captured, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. Okay, so yeah, bishop takes c3, king f1.
Very good. Do they have any checks left?
Hmm. No, not without trading queens.
Good. Are you comfortable to call this off now, saying, therefore white wins?
Yeah, because as you said, you're up a rook.
Are we up a rook because I said so or because you see so? Like, are you convinced that we are up a rook?
um, let's see. I forgot if in this line we had already taken the rook or not,
Well, and
honestly.
that's a very good point, Daniel, to remind ourselves that this line was long enough for you to go through again just to double check everything. So I want you to call this whole shebang out from the very beginning, like right now from what you see on the board. The whole line. Let's go.
Okay, okay. So from right here, d takes e6, bishop takes e6, queen takes e2. Oh, I'm
Hold
sorry,
on.
a2.
No, Daniel, it's your turn, brother. DE bishop takes e6. White to move.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Knight d5.
Yep.
Now queen takes a2.
Yep.
Um, knight takes c7. Check.
Takes. What are we taking on c7, sir?
Oh, did I say take? I
Yeah.
apologize.
No, you don't need to apologize. But I have to
Knight.
be the nasty bastard to correct all of these so that
No, no, absolutely,
you get
absolutely.
this absolutely 100% right. So it's knight c7 check. Yeah, go on.
Knight c7. Check.
Yeah.
In this line, we went king d7. I think, right? In this
Oh,
line.
I think I said it d8, but it shouldn't matter. Go on.
Okay. Okay. So
Either
king d.
way, the follow up will be the same. Go on.
Okay. King d8.
Yep.
Um, Bishop f4 check. Discovered attack with the rook check. And then king c1.
8.
I think. I'm
Oh,
sorry, king c8.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, king c8.
Yep.
Let's see. King c8. Trying to remember what we did after that.
Don't try to remember, just play the logic now.
Yeah. So we have an escape square for the king, so knight takes a8.
That's it, very good. Go on.
Yep. Okay. And then queen a1 check.
Yep.
King d2.
Yep.
Bishop b4 check.
Excellent.
c3.
Yep.
Queen takes b2 check.
Yep.
King e1.
Yep.
Bishop takes c3 check.
Yep.
King f1.
Yep.
Yep.
Right.
I think that's where we stopped.
Outstanding job, Daniel. And this is what I would like you to try to make it as a habit, but like a habit that your life depends on. That everything literally that you evaluate in your games is based on variations, calculated lines that have an evaluation, as opposed to the I was worried about the B file.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is not a source of your evaluation. Your evaluation is based on calculation. Like in the previous line where we looked at d6, bishop e6, bishop b7, rook b8, you called it off. That's not a point of reference for you, that B file, yeah?
Yep.
So you calculate it further on, and then you chuck an evaluation on top of that with bishop c6 check, and it's all over red rover. Try your absolute best to, whenever you evaluate, to attach a line and then an evaluation to it, rather than just feelings and I didn't like it because of, and then comes not a line. Right? Yeah. So anytime when you're trying to talk yourself out of something in particular, don't give in to feelings, generic broad ideas, vague concepts. Nay. Cold, hard facts. And that in chess is lines.
Yeah, I think that's been an unhelpful habit that I've had. I think the good news is that if I push myself, I'm already at a place where I can at least calculate 3 or 4 moves down. I mean, I do it in puzzles on chess.com, so.
Yeah, like look, one of the most difficult things to change as a mentality on your level is to get out of this habit and force yourself into calculating lines. And as soon as you consistently start doing that, you are going to outplay your opponents like crazy. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. Because it feels like it's almost like once you get into that and you start doing it, you feel like you were given a cheat code. Because every single time you are going to outcalculate your opponents, and you will see things they don't, because they are still doing what you are doing currently, which is that they evaluate on a superfluous level based on not what I described, you know, like calculating, evaluating. And so you are going to be ahead of them every single time, usually not by 1 step, but 3-4.
Right.
And by 3-4, I don't mean 3-4 moves ahead, but like that's how much you are going to be out of their league. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Continue. Rookie 1. And by the way, I don't mean to drag this game out just to save time, but when I went through it, I thought that this is one of the most valuable lessons I can ever teach you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And here comes another one, which is going to be particularly painful for you, Daniel. Okay. In this position, when you have got everything deployed, and they have got a king stuck in the middle, incomplete development, and there is tension in the center, if this is not a position where you can pull the trigger on something, then chess is the most unjust game on planet Earth, and it's time to quit and start playing basketball or tennis or whatever. So what I'm trying to tell you, Daniel, here is that I don't care how much time you have left on your clock. If I am your coach, which now I am, I'm telling you that if I had a choice between you playing this move or sitting there for 21 minutes and 10 seconds and lose on the clock, because you just kept on looking and looking and looking, and you couldn't find the final blow, I choose sit there and lose on time any day of the week. You can't play a move like this. This is not a chess move. Like, this is in no realm of chess can even come up as a candidate move. So you have all the pointers, Daniel, which I highlighted. Complete development, incomplete development on the opposite side. You are castle, they aren't. There is central tension. These are all clues pointing at the direction for you that there must be tactics here. Right? So from here on, you are exclusively looking at chess capture threats.
Right.
So I don't know why this even came up, but I'm guessing that you were just flustered by not finding the blow.
That's exactly right. I did not like h3, but I couldn't calculate a way to create some kind of advantage from here.
Okay,
I,
so did
I
you calculate along the lines of chess capture threats? Did you have a notion in the game, Daniel, that you were kilometers ahead here?
Yes, I did. I knew I was. That's what frustrated me so much. Is like I knew I had the winning position, and I couldn't find a line that moved it forward for me.
Right, so I
And
wholeheartedly
yeah,
mean, Daniel, that I want you to sit there as long as it takes for you to find something decisive.
okay,
Because even if you, in the process of that, you actually lose on time, you were actually doing the right thing for 21 minutes. Right? Here,
yeah,
we just betrayed everything that we consider holy about chess.
yeah,
And that is far more damage to your chess than sitting here for 20 minutes, searching for the truth and losing in the process. That, in my book, is 20 minutes amazingly well spent. Whereas everything that happens after this, to me, is irrelevant in this game. And I know it sounds very harsh, but this is the truth. Because what you have done so far, in my book, well, okay, we missed a few things here and there. But if I look at this position, I would be like, white is doing exactly how chess is meant to be played, and black is asking for disaster. So I feel like it's just such an incredible injustice done to your excellent accomplishment insofar to do this, that I just want to do nothing whatsoever with it anymore, right? So let's
right.
rectify this now. What is the first candidate move we look at here? In the spirit of checks, captures, and threats, by the way.
Well, the capture that's I did. I mean, oh, I guess I wasn't considering a queen sacrifice. So I guess I didn't even consider really that check. I should
No,
have.
but neither should you, Daniel. There is nothing in it. They just take it back. It's a free queen. Forget it. So unfortunately,
Okay.
the check is not workable at all.
Okay. So the capture that I was looking at was d takes e6.
Excellent. Okay, let's continue that.
And I think now, after we've gone through some of these lines and what could be done, what I should have considered but didn't was knight d5 after. Oh, okay. So wait, d takes e6, probably bishop takes e6, and then knight d5.
I'm not so sure, Daniel, if I follow you here in as much as I like your thinking, but knight d5, contrary to the previous lines, creates only one threat, and that is that the queen is hanging.
Right.
But you have no jumps with the knight, do you?
After
Well,
d takes e6.
random. Like, let's say I take this. What do you do with this knight?
Yeah, that was, I think, I may have calculated that, and I couldn't find something immediately.
It's because there isn't anything there immediately. Like, this knight has nowhere to go. Everything is covered.
Right.
But from this, you don't conclude that D is wrong. From this, you conclude, Daniel, that we need a better square for the knight to jump to.
Okay.
Right? Because you have a bazillion of them, and every single one of them is going to attack the queen by the discovery. So you start looking at loose pieces that this knight can attack. So D, bishop e6. What's your next try with the knight jump?
Well, I mean, the loose piece would be the bishop on d6.
Yep.
But but if I jump to say knight e5,
4.
aren't
94.
I'm sorry, yeah, knight e4. I apologize. Yeah, knight e4. I mean, aren't, if I'm visualizing the position correctly,
Yeah.
wait. Oh, okay. So yeah, I wasn't visualizing it correctly. Okay, so d takes e6, bishop takes e6,
Mm-hmm.
knight e4.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Keep going.
Um, well, could an option for black would be queen c7,
Yeah.
uh, defending the queen and the bishop at the same time.
Yeah. Go on.
Hmm. Hmm. I guess I'm evaluating whether knight takes d6 is effective. So if knight takes d6, queen takes d6, I guess you could have another discovered attack on the queen by moving the d2 bishop.
Bingo. Let's do that.
Okay. Let's see. I'm not sure where the best square is for it.
Well, Daniel, the rule of thumb again is that since it's a discovery, you want to use the bishop to attack something in turn, right?
Oh yeah, you're right.
So whatever we can attack, we are going to attack.
I guess you could go bishop h6, attacking the g7 pawn.
Okay, I want you to stop right now, Daniel, for a second. I just
Mm-hmm.
want you to compare that position and your level of satisfaction about what you are doing versus this. And I don't mean to ridicule you. I genuinely want you. There's no use for me telling you what you should be feeling. I want you to tell me how you are feeling about your level of accomplishment, and in fact, in general, about how you feel about both positions.
I mean, it's night and day because in the line that we were just calculating, I'm actually utilizing the advantage that I have, um, and creating threats and opening up the position to my
Right.
favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So what I want you to, Daniel, have as a mentality, and again, it's far more complicated than what it may appear to be, is that I want you to be feel insulted, literally, by having this position. Right? Like you need to
Mm-hmm.
have a level of anger or a desire for destruction. Because that's what your
Mm-hmm.
opponent's position deserves. It's nothing personal and it's nothing arrogant. It is you evaluating what's on the board correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah? So
Right.
you are a martial artist, am I correct?
Correct.
So if I rock up to you with a very clear intent that I want to hurt you, yet my hands are down beside my body, and I very clearly offer you various ways to deal with me, that's a laughable situation for you as a martial artist, right?
Yeah.
Because I rock up with an intent to hurt you with having zero knowledge or tools to do so. And so your initial feeling, and it's not arrogance, is that this guy is gonna be in trouble very soon. That's the exact same on the chessboard right now. By virtue of you having an opponent, you have a guy who sits there telling you that I want to beat you. And then they do this to demonstrate their desire to beat you against what you have here. Well, what do you feel if not insulted, right? Like, dude, like, what do you mean?
Right.
We need to deal with this, and that's what you exactly did beautifully here. So take, here. This is already tremendous progress, Daniel, because what you have accomplished was you traded off a knight for a bishop, a very important bishop, by the way, who was the guardian of all these dark squares. 2, we opened up another file, so the king is completely naked, and now, on top of all this, we get to pull a shot like this. Holy cow. That is sensational. Now, it is difficult to, like, in some sense, this position doesn't quite give me satisfaction because I really wanted to have a conclusive finish here. And there isn't one. Like, there's no mate or forced winning material because they have queen f8 here. But again, this position alone, even if you don't see how to continue, should give you immense self-confidence, even if you just pull back and go into d6 next. Hello, good luck with sorting that out. But actually you have the fantastic queen d2 or d3, I don't know which one is better, with this cheeky little dig here. Right?
Yeah. Right.
So these are the ways how we are trying to, and actually there is no way to defend this, ironically. Not a good one anyway, so yeah, this is a marvelous finish. Wowzers. Yeah, this is a great attack here. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that this... Oh, sorry, I went way too far back. That this was your correct way of thinking, and you can't give in to the I just can't figure it out and do this. Yes, you can figure it out, and you should.
Okay.
And I'd much rather you fail in trying than giving up on it.
Yeah, I so often get myself into time trouble that I'm sometimes reluctant to calculate, for longer periods like that if I'm not seeing it within a few minutes.
Yes. So there are two things that I need to add to that. One, by forcing yourself to calculate like mad is literally the only way for you to increase the speed of your calculation.
Okay.
Again, it's like running. If you want to be a fast runner, guess what you will need to do all the time? You need to run.
Right.
Yeah? So you are not going to be able to reach decisions better by cutting your calculation down. On the contrary, you must embrace it. Calculate a ton more than what you usually do, because that's going to enhance your ability to calculate. And all of a sudden, to see a line like take, 94, knight takes, and then bishop discovery is going to take you no more than 15 seconds.
Yeah.
It sounds difficult to believe that now, but trust me, that's how it works. All right, let's move on. Tuck. Very good. Tuck. Okay. That in mind, I probably would have taken this first, because that at least creates a weakness in the king's side. Yeah, so for comparison's sake, if you go here now, queen c5 can be dodged by here followed by bishop e3.
Yeah.
Game over, yeah? So this was a bit too hasty, instead of first damaging the king's side and then going in for the goods. By the way, note, Daniel, that here, again, the tactical mindset, and I'm not even looking at knight jumps, which I'm guessing there should be a winning one, but queen f3 immediately highlights two very delicious targets in one go.
Yeah.
Like, again, if there is no tactic here, it feels like there is no justice in the world. Fully developed army versus an absolute garbage, and this king is extremely exposed. Right. So there has to be a conclusive finish here. Don't know which one is best. Queen f3 looks very good. Queen c4 looks very good. I can't quite this make work yet, but that is going to come soon as well. Anyway, so queen c5, we came back. I don't see a winning tactic here. King b8, bishop e3. I guess it looks very good. Okay, so once again, Daniel, in the spirit of... Oh, actually, you did the right thing, but you took first here, so I'm all good with that. I was already looking at rook d6. But I think what you're doing is perfect. This is the right way to play chess. So that kind of desire to destroy them here is what we should have had 5 moves ago. But this is just lovely. And now... Ooh, 94. Oh, if 94 they have check, right?
Yep.
Okay, still... This is extremely unlikely that the best way to utilize the current situation is to take this.
Yeah, so I think the problem was that I wanted to play queen e5, but then I saw that he had rook d7, and I guess well, that still wins, doesn't... Well, but yeah, the rook d7 after queen e5 was what bothered
But Daniel,
me.
again, what I'm telling you, man, is that stopping here is a crime. You can't stop here, mate. Like, everything is hanging. There are pins, hanging queens on either side, discovered attacks. Like, this is where you begin.
Yeah.
And I guess that you freaked out about your time.
Yep, that too.
But you can't possibly stop this line, irrespective of your time, because even if you just pull back, or wherever you pull back, doesn't matter. You have already made tremendous difference to the position. Because now they have got the queen hanging, so the best they can do is rook here, and now you have got a different way to increase the attack, and that's game over. There's no way, Daniel, that this doesn't lose for black. And again, this is a feeling that you gain from, well, experience and solving puzzles and all that. But when these are piled up and there is already a pin on it, and this part of the army is non-existent, there's no way that there's no forced win here for you. And like multiple of them, like check. So wherever I move the queen, it's gonna be a forced win. My message is the same, Daniel. You can't call off a line when virtually everything is hanging.
Yeah, it's a recurring problem. I know.
Yeah, you must force yourself into calculating a lot more, which is going to tax you a lot in various ways. Time, stress, because you will be worried about your time, but there's no other way to fix it.
Yeah.
And you do see that this is not a difficult piece of calculation.
No, not at all.
Right? Like, and not on my level, on your level.
Right, yeah.
It is just the desire and the decision to make that conscious decision that I can't call it off here. That's just not right.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Yep, sorry.
I mean, I even had queen takes g7 too, right?
No, unfortunately we didn't, because then the f4 bishop hangs with check. So unfortunately you didn't have quite that.
That's right. Okay,
I would have liked that to be a case, but not quite. I was looking to do something that would force black to take, and then after take, check would pick off everything here. But you can't quite have a move that forces them to take. So the cleanest is one of these two with either queen b4 or queen g3. Both of them are completely winning.
Okay.
All right, so we did... By the way, I'm very proud of you for seeing knight e4. That is met by rook d1 check.
Yeah.
So that's very awesome that we are aware of our opponent's tactics as well. That's super duper important. So that was great. That was really great. Super important stuff. Queen e4. No, let's go. Okay, I was thinking about knight e4 because this square is begging to be occupied, which then would allow you to do two things: check here and penetration here.
Okay.
So that is definitely your next go-to, that you look to improve your pieces. This is perfect. The queen obviously isn't, but the knight is definitely the piece that currently isn't fulfilling any meaningful duties.
Right.
So I would be looking to relocate on a beautiful outpost that then gives you access to the king. But of course I would go via center, because that's the right thing to do in chess.
I see.
Okay, there.
I was just
building
shuffling
time
a little bit, trying to find some time. Yeah.
Yeah, I like this. Okay, very, very good en route to a good square. Delicious stuff. I would have considered his c4. Because depending on where the knight goes, we may get immediate access to d7.
Yeah.
Right, so if, for example, they come here, then we can go in.
Yeah.
But you also have various other things here to do. a3 actually traps the knight, which is quite cool. And if knight b6, then again you have got various ideas. Check looks particularly annoying because the blocking doesn't work. And so that gives you access to f7, and after that the white pieces will flood in. Whereas this one, I'm not quite sure if I see a threat after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look, from here on out it's time trouble, so I'm going to tread lightly, or lighter. Remember, I don't know if we discussed this, but I think we did, Daniel, about back rank opening up, that this is always a dual purpose move.
I did. I remembered that.
And this one is just a meh.
Yeah, I remembered that, except with the knight on b6. I know right now it's pinned, but I worried that then I would have to keep my rook on b3 to keep it pinned, and it might. Well, actually, I have my knight guarding a4 too, but I guess I just worried about the knight on b6 there, putting
But
pressure on it.
that's Daniel the motivation to do this. So you are sitting completely back to front on the horse now. The main reason I want a4 is because this knight is exposed. So I
Oh
actually
yeah.
turned a defensive move into an attacking one.
I see.
By the way, there is one more thing that I want to tell you, but this is an incredibly difficult concept to turn around. But more often than not, you will find, and if you recall in your head now how this lesson went, that almost everything I showed you, you considered.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
talked yourself out of it. That is one of
Right.
the most frequently recurring phenomenon of club players, that they see a good idea and they are talking themselves out of it. And by the way, and I'm going to now sound like a broken record, they never ever talk themselves out of it by proving it wrong with a line. It's always a I didn't like this, that looks scary, that type of shebang. Yeah? So
I
you're
see.
talking
Yep.
about how this b6 knight is attacking a4 when it's in reality it's pinned and is threatened to be taken. There is
Yeah.
no reality that would tell you not to play a4 here. If you actually invest calculating into it, you will find that it's much, the opposite than what you thought. Anyway, yeah. Whoa, I'm going a bit too fast. So we took knight c4. Okay, so knight d2 check is now rather annoying. You went back there. Okay, don't want to split hairs, but instinctively I would have gone to e2. Hard to explain why, but it feels better on e2. If for no other reason, because this is the largest distance you can take from a knight, yeah? Because that takes like 4 moves to attack with the knight, or 3 at least. 1, 2, 3. But also because from here I may be able to occasionally do this, whereas on e1 I'm just passive, and I'm also sitting in this check. Not that that's a threat, but just in generic terms, this seems to be a lot more fluid move than queen e1. Anyway, that shouldn't have anything to do with what happened after. Now, don't we have rook d3 here, Daniel, piling dudes up?
Yeah, we do. I don't remember whether I considered that or not. I don't think I did. Or
No,
maybe I did.
I don't think you did, Daniel, because if you had seen it, you would have played it.
Yeah.
So I think you are playing under extreme duress here in terms of time.
Yeah. Right.
But you must have expected knight d2 here.
Yeah, I was planning.
And you must have been absolutely
that.
shocked not receiving it. But this should always be a pleasant shock. And you, once again, however difficult it may sound, you need to look to punish it.
Okay.
And that's just the best punishment there. Because that immediately wins at least an exchange. At the very least.
Right.
But I would say actually it's a clean rook. Because after knight d6, take, you have got queen e6 and it's game over. And my argument, by the way, is that it's worth investing that extra 10 seconds into that, because what comes after is going to earn you back that time tenfold.
Right.
Because you are going to win this with 10 seconds on the clock against Magnus Carlsen.
Right.
Yeah, right? Literally. Yep. Whereas you might not win this with the amount of time you have on your clock against Magnus Carlsen. Right? Like this, now you are looking to play another 50 moves to convert this.
Right. Yep.
And that's not your interest whatsoever. Not in your interest at all. Now, I didn't actually look at the end of the... Ooh, hello?
Oh, yeah. I didn't... This was a calculation issue. I didn't have enough time to...
Now, Daniel, this is not something you are going to hear a lot from me. You don't need to calculate this, mate. There's nothing to calculate here. And once again, please cherish this moment, because you're not going to hear it too often from me.
Right.
What is there to calculate? You are 2 pawns up in a king and pawn ending, where there is not even a hope of creating pass pawn. Please take it to your heart, Daniel. The most commonly occurring mistake in endgames, below 2000, you heard that right, is that people, I don't want to use the word brainlessly, but that's what it is, just tend to trade down to king and pawn endings. King and pawn endings don't require such king and pawn endings any thinking at all. They require your hand so that you can execute the remaining moves and you just go and win. And I see it all the time that people trade down to king and pawn ending with 2 pawns down. That's like walking to slaughter. You don't need to calculate this. Like, what could possibly happen that is negative to you? This takes about 10 moves. Actually, more than 10. In that time, you have 2 queens here. Even if I remove this pawn from the board, you are completely winning. I'm not telling you to be careless, Daniel, but when the layout is as clean as this, an extra pawn in a king and pawn ending is like 99.9% an absolutely brain-dead win. 2 pawns? Hello?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that they are doubled. It's totally irrelevant because they are nicely connected. If it was an extra pawn without this pawn, you would still be super easy winning, but that would be a little bit challenging. But like this, yeah, you just take it. Because the thing is, this did not take you a single inch closer to win. Despite you might feel like it did. You still don't have a pass pawn. In order to win this game, you need a pass pawn. You need to promote that. Right? Now, obviously, you need to eliminate pawns to get closer. So technically, it's not quite right what I'm saying. But boy, trading a queen there is your ultimate go-to. And on this point, I'm telling you that if you are defending this endgame, you would rather bite into your hand than play this. Right? If I had a choice with black to lose every single pawns here, after king here, or play king c7, queen c7, I am taking the take all my pawns option any day of the week, because this leaves you with practical chances. There is a chance that your opponent is gonna suck in some kind of a perpetual, right? There is hope. After the queens are gone, what hope is there left? Like, imagine what I have to do with white to stuff this up. Like, that's beyond imagination. Right? It's very easily possible to see how with queens on the board, things can still go sideways for white. There is still work to be done here. They still need to be careful. They need to plan. They need to do show some endgame technique. After queen takes c7, all they need to do is to be. Like, that's it. As long as they are there, it's done. So be sure that you never ever trade down to king and pawn endings when you're material down, unless it's some extreme case and you calculated it to death. Okay, and I'm going to go through this fast. On that note, absolutely zero excuse for not playing this.
Same reason.
It's even better reason, actually, because now you have got an unstoppable pawn here. So after take, you just go. And this is queen. Or they take, and then, you know, like, now you just trade down, you eat this pawn, and it's all over. So you play f6, take, he, here, and then you eat this pawn, and it's all over. So same story. In fact, that's your #1 winning method in such endgames, is to trade everything off and just win with the extra pawns. I mean, there are myriads of winning moves here, and queen e6 by the same concept would also be doing it. And now you did it when it was totally killing it. Yeah. All right. I'm sorry, Daniel, that I only spent this whole lesson on one game. I had no intention to do so, but I felt that the points that I brought up needed to be hammered really hard so that it, it sticks. And in my view, it's a lot more beneficial for you to absolutely gut a game like this rather than flying through it and not discussing all the issues, because then what's the point? So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, it's more about how much I learned than how many games we go through.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I don't believe in that anyway. So if you want to, I'm more than happy for you to analyze the rest of them with your other coach. But I think that I could not have spent this time better than what I did.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I learned a ton. I took a good amount of notes too.
I saw that. I quite like that, actually. So, yeah. We are going to call it a day, Daniel, here. It was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will actually call off the recording.